Welcome back from that break. If you're just joining us, this is Sports Extraordinary here on Atlantic Television Network. Ekpo Temple is my name, and joining me this evening is Emmanuel Michael. Mike, beautiful evening. Good to have you here. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling great, Temple. It's been a wonderful day right here, especially coming in from the world of sport. A whole lot to talk about, coming in from the world of sport this evening, and we are ready to go.
We are ready to go, and do not forget that we are looking at Arsenal. The level of consistency and of course their flow. I think they can get something at the end of the day. You know, this is coming at the back of their victory yesterday against Tottenham Hotspur. Not also forgetting that Konate is very optimistic that they can help Mo Salah, getting his hands on the Ballon d'Or. How possible would that be? But first off, let's move now to the 113th edition of the Australian Open and 57th in the Open era, where a lot of happenings ongoing. I can tell you for sure that Iga Swiatek is through to the next round of the draws. Of course, she was able to get past Rebecca Skrankova. You know, she advanced in a 6-love, 6-2 there, and she will next face Emma Raducanu in the next round. Talking about Emma Raducanu herself, we saw what she did against Amanda and Simova. She had a little bit injury concern, but she was able to get through in that particular one. Elena Rybakina is another player that is through. It was because of 6-love, 6-3 victory against Eva Jovic. Daria Kasatkina also defeated Wang Yafin 6-2, 6-love. It ended. Beatriz Hadid Maia, the Brazilian, got past Erika Andreva in a 6-2, 6-3 victory. Tunisian Ons Jabeur also was better off than Camila Osario in a very thick encounter. Mike, a lot happening. Emma Raducanu, Ons Jabeur not having a good time, but they were able to put, and that's the doggedness on their part.
Yes, of course, and that is when experience comes in. It seems as though it's getting tougher, it's getting difficult. You just need to find strength. You just need to find that magic moment to be able to maneuver your opponent, and that is what even Ons Jabeur did out there. You also recall that while on the court out there, she had a very serious challenge of breath issue as well. She had to take her time to take some treatment before bouncing back, and she made it very clear shortly after the game that he was having a long time breathing difficulties, which started way back, but she was still able to find some strength to also get over that very one, especially other big name players as well. Emma Raducanu, Ons Jabeur, Elena Rybakina, they all pulled through. And I think for me, it's a very great one to see some of these big names making it through to the next round.
Making it through to the next round, and of course, in the ATP, we also saw some lovely encounter. Some of the big boys showcasing their skill, in getting through to the next round. Taylor Fritz is one of the names on the lips of many, not just for what he did on the court, but for his philanthropic art he displayed after he got past Christian Garin. He needed just 82 minutes to defeat Garin in a 6-2, 6-1, 6-love victory, in that particular one. And of course, if you talk about other games, Les de Minaur, the Australian, also did so well against Tristan Boya. He's through now to the next round. Another player is through to the next round is Yannick Sinner, the defending champion of this year's Australian Open. Got past Tristan Sokakate, Skukate in that particular encounter. And of course, it's lovely to get to see how far he goes on, even with doping controversies hovering around him. Yeah, one man that also did so well is Mimo Kaknovic. Mimo Kaknovic was also in a standing format against Hubert Hookers, in a 6-4, 6-2, 6-2 victory there. And no one would have saw this one coming. Guy Monfils versus Daniel Atmeyer. Monfils surprisingly secured the win to the next round, and Lorenzo Musetti also defeated Daniel Shapovalov, and they are through. So these are some of the encounters that we saw in the ATP, Mike, and it looks more like Fritz, Yannick Sinner. These guys are still holding on strongly as big boys or big seeded players.
Yeah, definitely. Taylor Fritz doing massive things out there, despite some of the obstacles he suffered in the early stage of the game. He was still able to hold his own and bounce back very well to ensure that he get that one over his opponent. He talked about Yannick Sinner as well, doing pretty well. I think, like I said earlier, even in the ATP, the big names are still very much around. But the major highlights yesterday's game is about Taylor Fritz deciding to donate about 670,000 pounds of his third round match money, prize money to the victims of the wildfire in the Los Angeles Day in the United States of America. That was a very good gesture from him out there. Despite also being very ready to take up other big name players, he was still able to at least find a way to show that sympathy to the people out there in the United States of America that are suffering from this wildfire that have actually ravaged the city over there. We hear that about 25 people as well have also lost their life. Thousands are also being displaced, and I think this money that have been donated by Taylor Fritz is going to go a whole long way to cushion the negative effects of what is happening over there in the United States of America as regards the wildfire incidents.
Of course, very good art there. Kind gesture from Taylor Fritz. We hope that that will even reignite others. Giving out your first round money doesn't come easy. A lot of persons, it takes a good heart to achieve that. But away from that, let's talk the NBA now, and a lot transpired at the NBA and the early hours of today. Of course, we saw some games in action, and of course, Philadelphia 76ers were one team that did so well. It scored 119 points against the New York Knicks. Now, it doesn't come easy because a lot happened. Everything turned around in the fourth quarter when New York Knicks, through the help of Julius Randle, also posted 29 points in that particular one. Jalen Brunson also posted 29 points. We are able to get past the big guys. Joel Embiid was very fantastic, posted 33 points. So ordinarily, one should think that Joel Embiid will get his hands or his team, rally around to get this one with Tracy Maxey posting 22 points. The both of them would have galvanized their side with maximum victory. But somehow, Julius Randle for the New York Knicks came back in fantastic form and snapped that particular one in the fourth quarter, and the rest they say is Uhuru. Mike, one would think that when the player posts maximum point like 33, you ordinarily think that that game is done and dusted, but then you don't, like we keep saying, the three does not make a forest. If you had other players coming to the party, like we saw Tracy Maxey, just maybe the Philadelphia 76ers would have balanced themselves and not ended up losing, the way they lost 125 as against 190. So possibly, you look at the margin, it's about 6 points, loss there for them, and they lost that game.
Yeah, it was a very painful one. If you're having a one-man, more like a one-man ranger in a team, it is not good at all, because the bulk of the work will be rested upon the shoulder of one man to do the needful. And if one man delivers and the rest do not come to the party, his effort will be more like effort in futility. And that is why, for me, I struggle to give teams that have two stars or one star in their team out there. It's better that I don't have a joker, more like a star, a playmaker in my team, but have a coherent team that work in synergy, that can fight for each other, maybe more like an average team, but that can post at least 25 points, 20 points, combined
so
together.
Imagine like 4 players posting that kind of points.
Exactly. Imagine like 4 players posting 25 points or 20 points. It goes a whole long way to help them to accrue a lot of points. But if you are having one man running the show, even if you post a 40 points per se in a game, and other teammates are not living up to the occasion, it still wouldn't take your team to victory. And that is what happened to Philadelphia 76ers out there. But you saw their opponent, the way they were able to galvanize themselves. 3 to 4 players posting about 20 to 26 points, and that is why they were able to, overcome their opponent. Talking about 76ers with that 6 points margin.
6 point margin, and I mean, if you think that you saw some, their performances today from the New Orleans Pelicans is something to go by, then take a listen to this and see what transpired between a known side. And I'm talking about the Boston Celtics, defending champions. They were very fantastic in that game yesterday. But somehow, something just transpired, and all of a sudden, they lost that particular game to Toronto Raptors. It's struggling side, but somehow, the good thing about it is that we saw good posting from Jason Tatum, combination of Jaylen Brown, yes, posted 16, no doubt, but then Pascal Siakam was very fantastic on the day, coupled with Fred Van Vliet. Did so well with the side, and they were able to snag that particular point. It's a close margin, 110-97, and one will be asking what went wrong for Boston Celtics.
For me, I think everything went wrong. They were not prepared, and I think that they also underrated their opponent, talking about Toronto Raptors. The reason being that Toronto Raptors, they have not been in a fine form so far this season. In fact, they are seated 13th in the Eastern Conference, so they have actually struggled in this very season. And for Boston Celtics, they are seated second in the Eastern Conference. So naturally, heading into that game, they were beaming with a whole lot of confidence, because they are seated second in the Eastern Conference, going to play, a team that is seated in the 13th position. It was more to them like a walkover game, but then they got a surprise and a big shock of their life when the game started. The slamming and dunking game is a game that you cannot actually predict your opponent, because a lot of dynamics. Take a look at the bench of Toronto Raptors. Their bench have not been impressive, but in that yesterday's game, we saw their bench campaigns, been very effective. One or two players that came in, they actually changed the game and made it more lively. And that is how Toronto Raptors actually raptured the Bolton set. They have been in fine form since the start of the season. But for me, I think it is one of those, maybe you call it an upset in this.
Truly, upset at home.
It's a big upset at home.
Big one.
So for me, I think it's a big win for the, Toronto Raptors, and I hope that this is going to, energize them to find that winning formula going forward. Because when you get to beat a defending champion, you get to beat a big team, not just. Bolton Celtics are not just a defending champion.
No, they're the best side in the NBA.
Exactly, they are doing very well, because a defending champion, you could get to the next season and you can't find your rhythm again. It become a problem. But they are the defending champion, and they are also getting their groove on. They are playing very well, seated second in the Eastern Conference. So I think it's a very big victory for Toronto Raptors, and I hope they are going to capitalize on this victory going forward.
Capitalize on the victory going forward. Let's just take a few more results, and then I will talk about them before we go on a short break. With the Jazz, we are in a static form. Of course, they also got one against Charlotte Hornets. Another result we saw yesterday was Minnesota Timberwolves getting their best against the GSW, that's Golden State Warriors. But that was not the end of the story, because something dramatic happened in a game where we saw Steph Curry posting maximum point, 36 points. He posted in that particular one. Big name, you want to say, right? Okay, but then we also saw Klay Thompson and Anthony Edwards all posting, 30 and above points in that one. But it went the way of the Golden State Warriors. Just 1 point. And when you look at the way they have been struggling, you just know that it takes the brilliance of some of the best guys, to get this one out from them, and somehow that name Steph Curry will always be at the helm of affairs in victories like this. 1 point, but that 1 point was good enough to secure that vital win. They've been losing games, they've not been very consistent, but somehow 1 point, they say it could have been overtime. Anything could have happened from there.
Yes, of course. 1 point is good enough for them to clinch the victory. Sometimes you just need that magical moment for one player to come and turn the tide around for your own good, and that is what the big name did last night. And Stephen Curry is one player that you cannot doubt his ability any day, anytime. He has actually carved a niche for himself in the world of the NBA, and made a mark for himself. So whenever he's very fit on the court out there, be rest assured that he's going to give his all, to help his team to victory.
All right, so another game we saw is the Los Angeles Clippers getting one over Brooklyn Nets in a game that ended 126 against 67. Very low side for Brooklyn Nets. I don't know truly what is happening to them, but we saw a massive blowout. Struggle on the part of Brooklyn Nets. They could not match the firepowers of the LA Clippers in that particular one. And one other game to talk about is Los Angeles Lakers. They are the other team from the other part of Los Angeles, getting one also above Miami Heat. Nigerian Bam Adebayo got 19 points in that particular one, but that was not enough. Even when Jim Butler also got 22 points, it wasn't enough to stop the firepowers of LeBron James and his teammate counterpart Anthony Davis, who posted a 30 and 25 points respectively, to ensure that they got a Mazalin showdown away at home there at the Chase Center, where they play. But with that, now we're going to short break. When we come back, I will still have some strong talking points. Yesterday we saw a lot that transpired in the 8 centers where the Nigerian Women Premier Football League were staged. It was the first match of the new season. A lot transpired. I will talk about that, and then of course to England, where Arsenal hope of getting closer to the title chase becomes very evident after they got a 2-1 victory, against Tottenham Hotspur. Don't go anywhere. This is Atlantic Television Network.
lines across the ocean to the land beyond the mountains. Through the Sahara, we bring all the sport news, live analysis, expert discussions on trending stories in politics, business, socio-economic, sports, and documentaries. So catch all the updates on the happenings around the globe. Stay focused on the fact today, only on ATN.
Every day, our lives are changed by history.
We are one people, all of us.
Leaders, politics,
nobody's ambition is what
I have fought a very firmly.
natural occurrence, war, and the world economy.
I belong to everybody, and I belong to nobody.
ATN covers it all on ATN Politics today.
Right, welcome back from that break. If you're just joining us, this is Sports Extraordinary on Atlantic Television Network. I still have Michael here in the studio. Yes, earlier we talked about what transpired at the ongoing 57th in the Open Era Australian Open, and I can tell you for sure that the big guys are through to the next round. And then the NBA, where we saw some of the happenings. Boston Celtics biggest upset in that particular one against the side like Toronto Raptors. But then let's talk about football. Yes, yesterday we saw the first game of the new Nigerian Women Premier League season, and there's some actions. We saw 23 goals recorded in that encounter, 5 home wins, 2 away wins, and then 1 draw. Remo Stars traveled away from home to get a 3-1 victory, and then Robo Queens thrashed Benway Queens 5-1 in what looks like a show of class there, getting an away victory. And then Damawa Queens drew 1-1 against Niger Ratos, the Abuja Queens. So, Mike, a lot to be decided. If the first game of the season we saw massive goals, double digit, that looks like, and then 2 away wins, 5 home wins is expected. One will be thinking, I mean, this season it promises to be hotter than expected, even if you ask me.
Yeah, I think for me, it was an impressive, start to the Nigerian Women Football League yesterday. A total of 23 goals was scored. We had some teams that actually were able to put up a number of 5 goals to nothing past their opponent. Robo Queen going away to trash their opponent as much as 5 goals to 1. I think for me it was an impressive start to the Nigerian Women Football League. When you are having a lot of goals being scored in the first day of the league, actually it gives you hope that we are going to have a good season ahead of the new season. I think for me, I'm very excited because of the number of goals scored. Of course, you know that it is goals that actually, keeps the fans, very happy and makes them to even come out to cheer their darling team. But in a situation where you are seeing goal drought, it makes the whole stadium look very quiet, and the fans will not be happy and all of that. So I think I'm very happy with a lot of goals that were scored as well. I think the one area as well that we need to also talk about is about the officiating. I think
we'll come to that. The game between Rivers Angels and Ibom Queens or Ibom Angels saw some drama at the Adokia Messi Stadium to the extent that the manager or the coach of Ibom Angels, Edwin Okon, who formerly had coached Rivers Angels too, blamed the officiating for not, the officials for not being fair enough in that encounter. Yes, this was said during the post-match reaction, but the other person will want to think that we want to ask whether Okon is likely promoting or hindering sportsmanship in the quest to air out in such dramatic form, because he was very, very angry during the post-match conference.
For me, I think there are 2 ways to cover all of this. First, there are match commissioners in different venues, and I expect the match commissioner to file in his or her report, to the Nigerian Women Football League Board, and proper investigation will be done to actually ensure that if any referee goes contrary to the rule, then they need to lift the hammer against such referee, because in terms of referee has actually given Nigeria a very bad spotlight in the African continent and even in the world, where it is very embarrassing that whenever we are having any African organized football competition, you find it very difficult to see Nigerian refs officiating. It's either in the CAF Champions League, CAF Confederations Cup, and the Women Champions League as well. So I think all these things boils down to the fact that the level of officiating in our league right here is not that top notch, and that is why they find it very difficult to select Nigerian refs to officiate some of those games. And I think we need to improve on that. Okay,
of course, I'm sure that the board of the Nigerian Women Football League will look into that, and we'll have more time to really talk about what has happened and the next plan for the league. But away from that, let's move now to the English Premier League, where we saw a lot of drama yesterday across 4 centers in the Tottenham. At the game between Arsenal and Tottenham at Emirates Stadium. We saw what transpired. We'll take that last. Let's start with Everton and Aston Villa. It was not an easy one for Everton at the Goodison Park. One would have expected David Moyes to continue another era with brilliance, but somehow Villa got this particular one. Mike, this is certainly not what David Moyes would have expected yesterday.
Yes, of course. David Moyes, an experienced coach, an experienced manager, that I've seen it all when you talk about the English Premier League. Coming back to Everton, it was more like, songs of joy for the Toons. But then it was a very disappointing one for Everton fans. The David Moyes, despite his words of experience, he saw what he did with the West Ham. He was able to win them an European trophy after a very long while. And we also saw maybe some form of brilliant football under the era of David Moyes at West Ham. We saw the likes of Mohamed Kudus, Lucas Paqueta, combining effectively, to dismantle opponent. But since he left, I think West Ham has actually struggled. So I thought maybe he's going to bring that pedigree, that is worth of experience to Everton. But then I think Aston Villa had a different ball game plan. Though it wasn't an easy one for them, though, because it was a slim victory, courtesy of that lone strike coming in from the boot of Oli Watkins, the English man, to condemn David Moyes and Everton from getting all 3 pointers. So I think for me it's a very disappointing one, but then they can pick up the dust and forge ahead for the next game.
For the next game, and of course, the King's Power Stadium, we saw Crystal Palace, got a 2-0 win over Leicester City. And I'm just thinking, the coach of the side, one would have expected much from him, but falling down at home, not certainly the best place to be.
Not a good one for the man talking about Ruud van Nistelrooy. Did very well during his short stint as the interim coach of Manchester United. Played about 4 games and did very well. And I guess that is the reason why Leicester City went to get his services, hoping he's going to continue that fine form. But has been very, very, very hard and very difficult for Ruud van Nistelrooy, to also think Leicester City back to, winning ways and get them, in a better position. But there are many games still yet to come in the English Premier League. Let's hope that, as the game continues to come along, he's going to find his rhythm.
Newcastle United, as King James Park, did the needful against Wolverhampton Wanderers. 3-0 bashing there, and this could possibly even give them more nods. Isak was on fire yesterday, no doubt. Been scoring. He has scored in the last 5 games, if not more, and that shows how consistent he's been. And they should reignite our Hull the feeling that they can actually, if not compete for the EPL title, then possibly to get another slot to be in Europe.
Yeah, definitely. I think the major highlight of that game is seeing Alexander Isak, scoring a brace, and he has scored goals in the last 8 English Premier League that he has played right now. He has taken his tally to 15 goals so far, just behind the likes of Mohamed Salah, who is on 18, Erling Haaland, who is on 16, and is now the 3rd highest scorer in the English Premier League for the 2024-2025 season. And I think he's the man to watch out. Whenever he's fit for the Newcastle side, I tell you, it's always a fireworks, because he brings in a whole lot of energy, brings it a whole lot of trickery within the 18-yard box. That just a little space within the 18-yard box is certainly going to punish opponents. So for me, I think it's a good one for the Magpies. They've actually leapfrogged Chelsea from the 4th position to 5th right now. So Newcastle has taken the 4th position in the English Premier League, courtesy of the brilliance of Eddie Hellman and Alexander Isak.
So let's talk about Arsenal win at the Emirates yesterday against Tottenham Hotspur. Yes, you can look at the stats, but something very decisive yesterday was Arsenal needed to get that 3 points. It wasn't about the stats, how far they've beaten Tottenham in the past, but they needed to show that they haven't lost to Manchester United in the FA Cup, haven't lost to Newcastle United in the Carabao Cup. They needed that win to close up the margin against a Liverpool side that drew a day after. So that game yesterday, one would have wondered how difficult or easy for them to come back after that, considering that first goal against them, and that really was built up to the momentum that finally ended.
Yeah, for me, they never say die attitude of Arsenal when whenever they are done, especially at the Emirates continues. going down with that, early strike coming in from the boot of the Korean international, Min, the captain of Tottenham. One thought maybe it's going to be a very long day for Arsenal to crawl back into the game. But then they had to find their way back into the game, especially playing at the front of their home fans. They derive strength out there to also draw the level, courtesy of that deflection, from the Tottenham player out there, to draw level, and they went further to also get, what seems to be the winning goal for them. And from then on, they could not agree in confidence. And I think for me, taking a look at the statistics even before the game, they were all in favor of Arsenal to get the win over them, because in their last 31 games where Tottenham have met Arsenal at the Emirates Stadium, Arsenal has the better of the most of the counter with 18 wins. And 11 draws and just 1 win for Tottenham Hotspur. So taking a look at it from that point of view in the statistics, it was very clear that on paper and on record, it was in favor of Arsenal. But then football is never played on paper, so that is why, even Tottenham, had to score very early through the boot of Min, which was more like a scare to Arsenal, not until they find their way back into the game.
Tonight, there will be a game in the English Premier League. Manchester United will be at home to play against Southampton. Not forgetting that Brighton and Hove Albion will also play Ipswich Town. So these are some of the encounters we get to hope tonight, and we'll look how far that goes. But talking about the English Premier League, one man, Ibrahima Kanouté, thinks that Mohamed Salah can be the next Ballon d'Or winner if Liverpool put their hands together, galvanize and win the English Premier League. And if you look at what they have done so far this season, look at how far Liverpool is playing, Mike. One would be thinking if Liverpool, if Salah, this age, not many would have believed that Liverpool can, his consistency can still go at 32. He's still scoring at defensive solidity. So if they win the English Premier League and they get maybe to the finals, if they get close to the finals of UEFA Champions League, a lot of people would think that Mo Salah will score more goals, and that implies that yes, that chances of winning may be there, especially if Real Madrid did not get any silverware in the La Liga Santander, do not defend their title. So it looks very likely that Mo Salah could just get it.
It looks likely, but it's going to be a very tall dream. Tall dream in the sense that Liverpool, even if they get to the final of the UEFA Champions League, it takes sometimes individual brilliance for you to win the Ballon d'Or award. Sometimes a team might even win the Champions League. Then you see some players did very well, but they could not score much goal and did not have much impact in the game. They still wouldn't win the Ballon d'Or award. But it will take a lot from Mohamed Salah. If he cannot to score, very fine for him. If Liverpool get to win the English Premier League, it is an added incentive for him. If they get to win the Champions League or even possibly get to the final, it is another big advantage for them. But then, I doubt if Mo Salah is going to win the Ballon d'Or award.
Well, let's keep our finger crossed and see how far that goes. But one thing very striking is that Liverpool seems to have a very strong defensive stuff, and if you look at what Arsenal is building with Gabriel Mahangalis and William Saliba, just maybe Ibrahima Konate is of the opinion that with that blend of Virgil van Dijk and himself, they could also partner and show more strength, for the team. So the plan is the team win the EPL, and then let's crown Mo Salah the king of Europe. But let's keep our eyes on that particular one and see how this dream will become a reality. Let's move away from the English Premier League and down to the Copa del Rey, where Barca still on fire. They got past Real Betis. It was a whitewash job for me. 5-2 it ended, but then not really 5-2, but they showed class against their counterparts. Still 5 goals they scored against Real Betis. So looking more like anything real, for this period is out for them, because they always get a win against them.
Definitely, anything real at all is more like a bad business for them out there when they come up against the Catalan giants. A fortnight ago, you saw how they dismantled Real Madrid in the Super Copa Hispana, by whitewashing Madrid 5-2. Fast forward to yesterday's game. was an impressive display from the young kids, talking about Lamine Yamal, Rafinha, who has been in the form of his life, you know, Pedri. These are players that, I tell you, in the next couple of years, we see Barcelona building back that dynasty of 2010, you know, squad that is made up of Andres Iniesta, Xavi Iniesta, Busquets, talk about, you know, Lionel Messi, Suarez, Neymar. These are some of the best squads that have, you know, done on the colors of, you know, Barcelona. And take a look at the young stars coming in from the, you know, likes of Barcelona right now. Can be rest assured that the future is very secure for, you know, Barca, because the likes of Pedri, Gavi, Rafinha, you know, Jules Koundé, these are players that are still very much young and they are still very much willing to learn. Talk about Lamine Yamal as well. I tell you, in the next 2-3 years, Yamal will be contesting or contending for the Ballon d'Or award. And for me, I think it has been an impressive ride for Barcelona. And I tell you, if they continue with this impressive form, they might just give Atletico Madrid, who is on fire this season for the La Liga, a run for their money.
All right, to the Serie A, we saw Inter Milan play a 2-0 draw with Bologna, and this seems to be a dent on their quest to meet up or to close the gap between them, Atalanta, and Napoli. Conte hate to see gap, and he utilizes it very well. One would have expected Inter to close up this gap, but it looks like they have to fight on another day if they must achieve this.
Yeah, I was quite shocked. I was taken aback seeing Bologna holding Inter to 2-2 draw at their home, because Inter is one of the teams. In fact, they are the 4th or 3rd most informed team in Europe, because in their last 5 games, they've actually won all. You talk about the most informed teams in Europe, you talk about Atletico Madrid, then you talk about Nottingham Forest, then Inter Milan. Well, like I said, it was more like a shock for me when they were held at home by Bologna to it ended. You know, I think it has also dwarfed Inter Milan's plan of closing in the gap on the league leader, talking about Napoli and Atlanta. But I tell you, it is football, and that is what you get to expect.
It is football, it's unscripted, and of course, they say upset is the name of the game. Now to Bundesliga, as we wrap up conversation here this evening. Bochum displayed fine at home